bought the audio too. So I got both audiobooks and books. So those are my books for read this month. And then I've also gotten another invitation to join a book club. So I'm already part of one book club in Canada virtually. And then there's a girl I used to know who lives in Miami. She was like, she saw my post on my Instagram. She was like, hey, I have a book club. You want to join? And I was like, oh my God, I love book clubs. Yes. I was thinking about starting one here where we could meet people because I love meeting new people. But I was thinking of starting one here. So I'm excited about my books.
Okay. I love books,
Yeah. Oh, what's up, everybody? My bad. That was a long spiel about books. How you doing? It's the first episode of the new year.
Whoop, whoop.
What's up? Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
I hope the year has started off well for you all and that you're doing great and that you got your resolutions down and that you've forgiven yourself because you've already failed. And what's going on with you, Whitney?
Not much. Just having it's a pretty good start to the year. Not too bad.
Having a good time, right? Yeah. And I'm trying to manage all my things I want to do because it's like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, and then you're like, your money says no, your account says no, or for my case, sometimes
he's telling me
yeah, exactly. Even though he's canceled, I had that same issue like recently where I wanted to put it in a text, but I was like, I literally made a joke out of it, and I was like, I wanted to say something, but I didn't do it. But your body wants you to do it, but your mind is telling you, hey, check yourself,
before you wreck yourself.
Exactly. So I made my coworkers laugh because I put it in there and they knew exactly what I was talking about. But yeah, it's just managing that, or like in my case, sometimes it's like getting people to come with you because not everybody's schedules line up, and so it's like, oh yeah, I want to do this, and then do I want to do this by myself? Do I want to go with someone else? Yeah. So it's just planning out what you want to do for the year. Like, what is 2023? What do you want 2023 to look like? What's your goals? So that's kind of been where my mind is for the beginning, Okay. What about you, Whitney?
I'm trying to make 2023 the actually get some of my own stuff started year.
Hey, I like that.
And we're like,
clap it up.
We were doing some talking today, you guys, some planning and stuff, trying to see like how we elevating BlerdTalk with Bola and Whitney this year. What are we doing? We're gonna try to get you guys some video podcasts out there for you guys to like see us as we record.
See the blurs in the flesh through the screen. All right. And we just want to thank you guys who do listen and comment, and then the ones who have like gotten on to us through our TikTok. A lot of you have seen we get a lot of views on TikTok, so I'm really appreciative of that. And just keep the comments coming, y'all. We love hearing from you all, okay? Yeah,
keep it coming, y'all. And thanks for the view support, whatnot. Thanks for our 8 subscribers. Well, our 6 subscribers, since 2 of them are us on YouTube. But I was excited. I was like, oh, snap. We've got 6 subscribers that aren't us.
I'm the opposite. I was like, man,
and it's probably, at least in my case, not a family member because I'm pretty sure mom or dad and my brother do not do any type of, yeah. I'm like, excitement.
Not even a little bit. They don't know what the heck. I say my show and they're like, okay, she's off doing whatever she's doing. They don't know how much I talk about them. It's therapy for me. Anyway, but we are still all about what the movies and the medias and, other blerdy things that we like.
Oh, yeah.
We're multifaceted, multidimensional blerds, right?
Before we started recording, trying to convince Bola, that's how she got onto her book stint to, like, get going.
Yeah.
Because any of you who maybe listened to us because we had our panel at BlerdCon last year in 2022, Bola's going to look to do another panel.
Gonna try, y'all.
Try to propose a panel this year. She's still getting the idea together, but I was like, all right, get on that.
Yeah, I gotta get it together, guys. Pray for a chick. I need the prayers.
So I'll see what. I don't know. I probably won't try to do any type of panel. Maybe I'll just be support.
Okay, that's fine.
For Bola's panel, just record. Well, it depends on how many people she has on hers, because then.
All right. So today, we're still reviewing stuff. We're watching things. So, the Golden Globes happened recently, and I was very not surprised, but I was like, nice to see. It was nice to see what won and what didn't, and the different films that came out. And I just been realizing that I've been sleeping on all the indie films or all the award or critically acclaimed films because in favor of all our more interesting things actually that we've. But this film that we're going to review today has been one that I actually, once I found out the premise and I saw the trailer, I was like, I want to watch this. This is interesting. As opposed to, everyone says Belfast is interesting, let me watch it. Or everyone says, The Whale is good, let me watch it. This one, The Whale is another critically,
I've been hearing a lot about that.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about that. It's really good. So, again, everyone's always talking about these things. I've heard Babylon was terrible, actually, even though it got nominated for awards, but whatever. So, today we're going to be talking about the Banshees of Inisherin. And I am terrible at, Irish accents. I can only do British. I can't do Irish or Scottish.
I'm not even going to attempt to do an Irish accent.
It really is going to sound really bad, either it's going to be like a cross between the Lucky Charms guy and the guy from the movie, the Disney Channel movie, The Luck of the Irish. Remember that? Clan O'Reilly.
I'm not even going to try to attempt an Irish accent. I'm just going to try to more or less correctly pronounce these people's names. Yeah.
Boyo.
Yeah. But it was me and Bola were talking about this earlier, and she mentioned it I also saw a trailer for this before you suggested us I hadn't actually seen it until you said, let's record the next episode on it. But I also saw a trailer on it, and it's not usually the type of movie that I would be interested in seeing in theaters, which I didn't see it in theaters. I watched it streaming. By the way, people can watch it on HBO Max
right now. Yes.
Yes. But it was one of the ones where I saw the trailer, and it's almost pure drama, but it's this looks, for whatever reason, I can't pinpoint what it was, but it was
something about it. Something about Mary, That's a movie title too for all those Gen Zers who don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but something about it just made it just really interesting.
It's a pure just drama. There's
captivating.
It was very. Even watching the whole thing, I was literally captivated throughout the whole film. But we're gonna get into it because we blurt out first about other things.
Blurt out.
So our blurt out sections are always about giving you guys just some tea on some other stuff we're listening, watching. We could bring up topics in blackness, whatever it is that we want to talk about. And so I want to talk about a few things.
Where's the theme?
Oh, yeah. Whitney, you want to do it?
I can't do it well.
Blurt out. Blurt out. Blurt out. Blurt out. You know what? I think we need to just start recording it and then just plugging it in. What do you think, Whitney?
You know what? Maybe we should. Maybe I'll just take this one and that'll just be, I'll just plug it in and go.
Blurt out. Add some subwoofering or whatever. Anyway, guys, so today I have some honorable mentions. I call them honorable mentions because I watched them and I was like, oh yeah, this is good. So I actually just watched the movie Persuasion today. And yes, I wanted to watch it from the beginning because I love a British period piece. I don't know what it is.
I saw that too.
I have that obsession. I love a good British period piece movie, and so they captivate me as usual. I guess because I love the romance, I love the time, I love the lack of gadgets. It could just be you're just dealing with people, the drama in this fixed little world, and it seemed like a world so far away and so distant with the costumes. It just seems like it's its own little universe, even though it's historical. Yeah, but it's so far removed from modern times that I just place it there in the realm of fantasy for me sometimes. And who doesn't love a romantic fantasy? Bridgerton, hey, it's the ultimate right now. So I just finished watching the movie Persuasion, and a mutual friend told me it wasn't that good, so I had not watched it.
I liked it a lot,
and then I watched it, and I was like, I liked this. I really did. And I only had minor tweaks about the ending part where I felt like certain parts were rushed, and I was like, hey, I don't know what's going on with these characters or some things that happened in it, and I was like, okay, those things could be corrected, but other than that, I really thought it was really well made. I'm not gonna lie, the main lead, I was not as impressed with him. But I'm still, I was not as impressed with him as
when you said the main lead, I consider her the main lead.
Well, I meant the guy.
Okay, gotcha.
I meant the guy. Yeah, she is the main lead, and she was actually very refreshing. I have to
I
give it to
loved
Dakota.
her a lot. I like. It was almost. Wasn't it like she was like almost speaking to camera?
Yeah, so she was breaking the fourth wall.
I loved that.
Yep.
I thought it was so. I liked that about it.
Yeah, it was like she was bringing us into everything, and I like that. It was very stylized, and I like when they try to take these genres and change them up a little bit. So that's cool. I love seeing all the diversity in there, and I like that the British movies that are being made or about these time periods are like, doing away with color issues. We all know during that time you would not see some black people or Asians or any other race, in the elevated classes. But I like that these are just depictions and people are playing people and that we can just see them in the world. And I like that. So I was down with it. But it was very good. I enjoyed it. I watched it all the way through and I was like, I like this. So that's an honorable mention.
I want to +1 your because I watched it a while back and I also really enjoyed it.
I'm glad you did. And then also I don't know what it was, but me and my family binge watched this Netflix food competition show called Pressure Cooker. You guys, it was fire. Like I could not. We all were binging this. It was it was reminiscent of our days watching Top Chef. Remember we used to watch that all the time when we were in college.
Yeah,
I miss those days.
I used to love Top Chef,
and I used to love the competition.
Is that still on?
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know if it's still on.
Well, I don't have cable anyway, so.
There's a ton of shows that are doing food competitions. And I know everyone watches the cake shows and the, Nailed It, which is like the people who really can't make cake. But I wanted to watch a food show because I missed, I'm a bit of a foodie, so I missed the sous vide and the all these fancy words for foods and different things and the combinations of panna cotta, demi-glace and all these wonderful things. Like people are like green pasta, handmade, all this stuff. I just loved it. Using coffee foam, as all this kind of cool and liquid nitrogen. And it was really interesting show premise because it was like there was the first competition show where there was no host. It was just. And they kind of did it with, like, people living in a house, in a kitchen, and it had challenges. And then, because there was no host, it was like the people that were on the show were the ones controlling the show, really. They were the ones who were either doing the guest tasting, and they were also voting each other off. So it wasn't always about food. There was a lot of, like, manipulation going on in the house, and you wanted it to be all about food, but there was some drama. But it was still about the food and the drama, So some people voted people off because they're like, do I want to cook against this person? I want this person gone. We need to break up this alliance, and then you saw all this awesome food and you like how things turned out where they're like, oh, this person is going to be the taster for this episode. So they're safe. It was just a really good show. And I like who won at the end. And I just was like, man, it made my foodie part of me come out. That's why I need Matt around because Matt's my foodie person. And we're actually going to one of our fancy dinners again at the end of the month, and I'll probably blurt out about that.
Nice.
I'm actually taking my mom this time, so she's always like, you always go out and eat, and I'm like, yeah, I do. And now I'm going to take her to one. It's a wine dinner, and she's not into drinking at all, but more for me. But I'm excited about that. So those are the two things that I was, like, blurting out about, like, real hard. Like, me and my family, like, we binged this Netflix show like hard. We got all into it. We were like, I don't like her. I'm on this team. No, dude, it was really interesting. So even my nieces were with us and they were watching with us. So it was cool. It's a very good show. If y'all like cooking or competition shows, I recommend watching it. It's called Pressure Cooker.
Did they actually use a pressure cooker?
No, actually. That was the funny thing. It's a random cooking show with all these professional chefs. They all are what's the word I'm looking for? Talented in their own right, because some of them are private chefs, some of them they have restaurants, some of them do different things, but they all cook with gusto, and so it was a cool thing to watch because I hadn't watched a cooking show in a while, and I enjoyed it very much.
Okay, all
right. I'm done blurting now because we have a mutual one, but I'm gonna let you go.
Okay, so I'll go with my non-mutual ones. I watched a movie on Apple TV Plus that they've been kind of it's been on there for a while, but I was like, let me just take a look at it. Let me finally take a look at it. It was Swan Song. with man, what's his name from Luke Cage, first season villain.
Oh, what is his
Got
name?
killed by his by his cousin.
Mahershala
Ali. Yeah.
Is that the one where he was a AI or something?
Not AI. He has like a terminal illness, and he goes into this program to have like a clone.
Yeah. Okay,
of
that's the
himself
one.
made.
Okay, that's the one.
And he like can't tell anyone. But it's like, and it's really, and it was a really interesting watch. I enjoyed it. It was another one of these ones where you really, it's like almost existential. You like really think. It's very like ethically, morally, and stuff like that. It's like one of those ones that make you think, kind of like a Westworld or something like that. Like, is this okay?
Yeah, it's probably not.
Right. So it was one of those ones, and it's just like, this is just, it's like, it just makes you like really, really reflect on as like different technologies and stuff come along, like the things behind it. Like, just because you can do it
doesn't mean you should.
And it's like, what kind of implications does this have? I like stuff that makes me think.
I saw a tweet about that, like about what like Elon Musk is, what the really driving force behind him buying Twitter, and it's really about like the chips implanting and they call it transhumanism, which has a lot to do with basically more incorporation of humans and technology in your biology. Actually, like, it's weird. But continue, Whitney.
No, thank you. I will not be having any type of.
Thank you. I'm like,
no.
Don't implant no chip in me, please. I'm sorry.
I feel like, now granted, I need to go back and do my full Bible read. That needs to be one of my my things, is to actually finish reading through the entire Bible. But
right, me
I
too.
was like, don't I remember something about them putting something in people? And you don't know what that's going on. I was like, this doesn't seem.
You know what's so funny? When I saw that thing, the black guy talking about what Elon Musk was really doing, I'm going to have to find that clip because it was really interesting and scary at the same time. But the first the first comment I saw underneath that, they were like, Jesus is coming back, y'all. Read Revelation. And I was like, that's exactly what hit me when I heard, because he was talking, this black guy was like, I understand what he's doing, but what he was explaining was really creepy. And I was like, I don't want this. Is that why he bought Twitter? Because he's really trying to push his transhumanism? I was like, I don't want that.
I don't want it either. I mean, I can it's the thing, like, you understand why people propose certain things, but it's like and I understand that some things you can't stop just because of the potential for wrongdoing, but like the implications and the possible misuses are just so great. I'm just like, dude.
Yeah. And I wonder if it's such hubris that people are using, that they can just assume that technology would be so advanced that they could solve things. Like, I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson, the famous physicist, and talking about his predictions for 2050, and he was basically saying how he thinks that technology will be so advanced that they can do stuff to the brain that would solve multiple mental health issues, that psychiatrists and psychologists would no longer be necessary. And I sent that to some people that I know. You know, one of them. And then I was like, what do you think of what he was saying? And we were like, man, you know what? We don't assume that these technologies and things can still like solve emotional and behavioral issues. But they're so, like I said, it's a bit of hubris that they're just like, technology will be able to solve everything by this time. And I'm like, are you sure? You know?
It's interesting. Have you ever seen A Clockwork Orange?
No, I know you talk about this all the time.
It's so interesting because it's about this, like, it's not even like a new film. It's like probably from 70s, I think. But it's another one that's kind of like the moral implications or ethical implications, because this dude is like a criminal, like a very violent, like rapey type of criminal. And so they put him into this program where they basically program him, like they reprogram him, like whenever this song comes on, and I forget which song it is. It's like his favorite song. It's like this orchestral type of song. Might be like, I don't know, Beethoven or something. Then he's like got this splitting pain. He can't do it. They like make him watch something, and he goes to keep trying to do what he used to do, but like the pain and stuff, like he can't do it. But they find at the end they reverse it, because they're like, this is really not okay, because basically it's almost like it's getting in the way of free will. So it's just like these things are interesting because it's like, I mean, you could, but what are you giving up in order to make this possible? It's almost like it makes me think of V for Vendetta as well, when he was like, you all gave up freedom for safety. And there's like a Ben Franklin quote. It's like, anyone who gives up freedom for security deserves neither.
Freedom for security.
That might not be the exact, but yeah, that might not be exactly what the quote is, but that's about the gist of it. But it's just, it's
weird.
It is.
So and there's a lot of going on in the Swan Song too. These questions were coming up. Like,
these questions did come up, but it's just like, in the end, this would be a spoiler.
I try not to spoil the other one. That's why I was like, I just want you to go watch it.
This would be a spoil. It would be spoiling the movie if I said it. I mean, we're gonna spoil Banshees of Inisherin because you guys know our main stuff is spoiler full. Spoiler
For those who are new, you guys know what's up.
But I'm trying not to give it away. But it's just like, I see why he made the decision he did, and I also see like the problems that he had, like. Because he like was kind of like going back and forth. And then it's like, you're also causing issues because this other now sentient being is here in the world, but maybe they won't have any rights because you've like just weird. Gone and like, how does this, it's just, I don't know. So many complications and like ethical and moral dilemmas and minefields.
Yeah.
Like,
oh wow.
And then it makes me also think of things like the soul as well. Because I'm like,
your will and your emotions.
I'm like, does the clone have a soul, or does the clone share his soul because it's him, but him without the DNA that caused him to have whatever health issue? So it's like, these are things I think of.
Yeah, and that's hard. And then you can kind of go down the rabbit hole or get in the weeds there because it's kind of like the chicken and egg thing, because you're like, how can you? But he's part of this person, but he's also not. It's just, it makes my head hurt.
Exactly. It's just like, it's very complicated. But
so was it a good watch or no?
It was a good watch. It was I don't want to say ponderous because that's not a good way to describe it. But it made me ponder. It wasn't ponderous because I feel like I think that's a negative term. But it made me ponder
a lot of things.
Yeah, as I was watching it.
That's cool. Yeah.
So I think I'll leave that as my main Blerd Out because my other one is a horror movies. So, and Bola's not. Well, it's not like Bola has to watch it. Anyway, I watched The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It.
Yeah, it already sounds like something I'm not going to watch.
No, I know you're not because it's a horror movie. You are not going to watch it. And I watched the first two Conjurings, and I also watched The Nun. I actually watched The Nun like within the last couple weeks and watched The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It like a few days ago. The Nun was just so-so. It was okay. But The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It was really good. They're actually based off of these like real people, a husband and wife team, Ed and Lorraine, I forget their last name, but they existed. They're real people and they would help people. They worked with the Catholic Church. They were like almost like paranormal researchers. So they would find like research to see if it was actual cases of possession. And if it was, they would like bring in the church to
cast them out.
Yeah. But it was really interesting because this one was about a case that apparently came up, I guess, in the news where the guy was possessed and he killed someone while possessed. And they managed to have enough evidence where he didn't get convicted of like murder. He got convicted of manslaughter. So he got 5 years.
Okay.
But it was like a pretty monumental case because it's like
so
he didn't
blame the demons in him for that, or that's weird. I don't like that. I don't know.
I mean,
it's creepy.
It is creepy, but I believe that demons do exist. So
I do. That's why. That's why.
It is. But it's like if that's the case, like it's so it was. it was also interesting because it's like, yeah, you didn't do it, but at the same time, they're like, the court's like,
but you did.
Somebody's got to.
Somebody
on this plane has got to.
Yeah, exactly. And you're right. Demons do make people do things, but I mean, that's another one of those questions where you're like, because I do feel a lot of people are possessed. A lot of these people that do the active shooting, sometimes I think they're possessed to continue to spread chaos. But then you never know. A lot of them are radicalized, and some people within them, they want to do dark things, So it's hard to say, like, is it really just a demon possession, or is it really the person wanting to do bad things because of what they think about, what they've been rehearsing, what they've been, radicalized to do,
Personally, I think that there's probably rare cases where it's actually possession. Because I remember watching The Rite, which is fictional. It's not based off of a real thing. But from what I understood from that, like, the church, like, does a lot of research to make sure it's not mental illness.
And, honestly, there are a lot of people that are possessed with demons who, they don't do violent things. They could just be around. They could just be... It's weird. I can't even explain it. I don't want to get into it, actually. But it's like, they could be passive. They could be church members. It's a lot.
But
anyway, it's creepy.
I know. I'm just gonna say this one kind of couple things. But the interesting thing about this guy was that he was like the boyfriend of the sister, because it was a little boy. He was probably about like 9 or 10.
The boy killed somebody?
No, the little boy was possessed. And while they were working on exorcising him, like he like broke free. Like, because they were holding him down, of course. And so, like, he knocked out the priest and knocked out Ed Warren. That's their last name, Ed and Lorraine Warren. And he knocked out the other guy. And so while they were knocked out, the boyfriend, who was like, of the little boy's sister, he was like, leave him alone. Because, like, the people who were, like, had the power to actually exercise were, like, knocked out. They were down for the count. He's like, leave him alone. Take me instead.
Oh, wow.
So that made it even sadder, because I'm like, he was just trying to protect this little boy. And it's just,
you shouldn't have said that, because
he shouldn't have. He was like, Ed was like, you should, like, don't talk to it. Like, don't talk to it at all.
Especially if you're not somebody of faith who is full indwelt. And you know what? That's why I don't like to talk about these things, because these things are very real to me. That's why I don't really like these kind of films and stuff, because it's like, it's too close to real things and I don't think they should be trifled with, because it's like God has specific instructions for how you're supposed to do these kind of things. And that's another thing. If you're not somebody who's full of faith and full or indwelling with the Holy Spirit and stuff, if you're trying to mess with this kind of thing, you can the demons just pop onto you easily. I'm in my family, they are into the church, and they have done exorcisms on people in our church and stuff, or they've been around places where things like that bats pop out and all this kind of weird not weird, just demonic stuff happens. So to me, it's like, yeah, y'all joking, but like, this mess is real. Like, and that's probably why I don't like.
And I think he was of faith, but he was just trying to.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that.
No, I wouldn't know. I was like,
because that happened in the Bible too. Like, I remember the disciples were trying to do that, and these men were like, "Oh, why couldn't we do?" Like, the demons like came out of them and just started beating them up. And in the Bible, it was like a Bible story. It's like, oh, why couldn't they actually do anything? Because they really weren't doing it with the right. They just thought, oh, we can do this. And you're like, stop playing. You know what I mean? Anyway, but okay, no, so you watch the horror
avoid
films.
Stuff like that. See, that's why I don't touch stuff. Like in that freaking bazaar, I'm like, nope, don't even brush past it. Don't touch it. Like, no.
Objects,
if I'm going to like New Orleans, I will not be touching any of the creepy looking old.
And I want to go to New Orleans so bad.
No, New Orleans is awesome, but I'm just saying, I'm not touching no old creepy looking crap.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like I think that's just foolishness. Like,
yeah.
Don't be messing with
God, y'all. That's my thing. That's what I'm saying. As me, myself, as a Christian, I'd be like, don't tempt God and don't mess with stuff you don't know nothing about.
Exactly. Like,
anyway,
why wave a red flag in front of a bull?
To get on a more lighter topic, what about the park? We went to the park recently.
Yes.
Y'all. It was
and
wonderful.
When we say the park, we're not talking about like a bird park or a Maymont Park
or a place of grove of trees. We went to an establishment
with the sound of music
at the park. like. I'm just joking. So we went to this place called the Park, which was an establishment indoors. They call it the Park RVA, right? Mm-hmm. And this is an RVA. That's where we are, guys. Richmond, Virginia, all day. Yay. And so they talked about how, we went and had a good time because this is a new place that opened up. Mm-hmm. They have like an indoor, kind of like fun food hall, having fun with your family, your friends and family kind of vibe. Mm-hmm. It was a new spot and we wanted to like check it out. Mm-hmm. You could do duck bowling. There was virtual golf. There was mini golf. There was also karaoke, but you had to like,
it's like private or semi-private. So you have to
actually get a reservation for that. Hmm. They had all this food, different spots for you to eat. You can hang out, take pictures with your family and friends, and then, just the waiting. But it was just like a nice little hangout spot to do different stuff. It's great for dates. There was a bar everywhere, so you could go through there. And they had shows. They had like a comedy show coming up.
That they were pushing hard, y'all. Yeah, hard.
You guys left early, but me and our friend Rosie stayed to eat dessert and stuff. And y'all left early, but we saw it when people were coming to the show. It got mad busy. Like the line was literally outside because we stayed and we chatted for a little bit and ate some dessert. Mm-hmm. Really good dessert. I had some raspberry lemon panna cotta.
What is panna cotta?
Panna cotta is like anything like it's basically like a mold or pudding jelly type thing. But it's creamy, and it's made with milk and coconut and whatever else.
Like tres leches cake?
No, it's really like a cream type of dessert. Yeah, it's supposed to set. It's kind of gelatinous, but it's not jelly. Okay, it's more like a pudding or a yogurt. Yeah, I should say that because it's really creamy. It was so good. They had a bunch of them, mousses and stuff. Ooh, yeah, and it was so good. It was just delicious. I ate all mine. Rosie couldn't finish her banana pudding one. And she straight up took the glass out of there, basically. She took the glass out, and I was like, ain't nobody gonna know. She was supposed to take the glass out, but she's like, ain't nobody gonna know.
Except they will now.
She couldn't finish. Rosie eats really slowly, and she never finishes her food. So she was like, I'm just gonna take this. And I was like, just take it. But it was an awesome place. We had a fun time. Yeah. It was really cool, kind of hip. And I'm not gonna lie, I think I like mini golf now. Because I thought I didn't like it, but I didn't care for it before.
You didn't care for mini golf?
I haven't done it in years, I'm telling you right now. I haven't done it since I was a kid. No one has ever invited me or taken me back. I've been to Papa like once or so.
To be honest, I usually do it on vacation, but I love mini golf.
I liked it so much. We had such a good time. I liked all the different little spots and little places and I had fun. I was like, wow, I think I like mini golf. But
mini golf is so fun.
I went to Top Golf and I don't do well there. That's a driving range where you have to hit it and you have to.
That's very different.
It is. And I don't know why I prefer the mini golf.
It's a different
driving range.
It's a different type of thing, though. They're very different. So
yeah, but honestly, you guys need to go. If you're in RVA, like it's a really nice spot to visit. It's new. They have parking because we know it's in the city.
Yeah,
it's in a really popular part of the city where there's a lot going on.
It's pretty close to the Diamond.
Yeah, and you're actually going to tear that down, I think.
The Diamond?
No, you're right. It's the Coliseum. It's going to be torn down. My bad.
Okay.
But we recommend you guys go because we had an awesome time.
We did.
We were there for hours, even though it was
oh my god, we did not intend to be there as long as we were. Mm-hmm. We got there. We said 12:30.
We got there around like after 1. Really,
but we were there till like 6 something.
Yeah, it was a while. We were there, and I was there until like almost like after 7. We didn't leave till after 7. So I had a good time, and I just think it was really fun to hang out with everybody for the day. I actually enjoyed. Even the waiting around was fun. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. All right. So are we ready to get into the Banshees?
Let's do it.
All right. So guys, here's the moment where you can bounce off, go watch it, and come back because this is a spoiler-full show. We talk about all the movies and TV shows we review after the fact, as in we've watched it already. So we're going to talk about it. And that's the fun of it, right?
That's right.
All right, so let's get started. Initial reactions. We said it at the top of the pod why we were really interested in watching this and wanting to look at it and what drew us to it. For me, I had a friend who had the same situation where the main story of this is that there was a guy and 2 Irish guys. The the film takes place in Ireland, and I found out it's around the 1920s. But you would, and it's in the backdrop of the Civil War in Ireland too. But you would not,
which I ended up looking up because I'm like, what's Civil War?
I didn't know they had. Well, they had a lot of stuff going on. The Troubles. There was many things going on, but they had a Civil War as well. And I didn't look up everything about that, but they did have a Civil War. So Ireland has a lot of troubles. Let's just say like that. They had a lot of issues going on. But what country doesn't?
True.
But you wouldn't think it was. You just think, the way they shot the film, it just looked like, this is how people are in this time in this little island nation, you know? And so it was about a friend who was, he had a friend. And one day, the other friend was like, I don't want to be friends with you anymore.
And just so you guys know, so like, now I'm blanking on the actor's name.
So the film stars Colin Farrell.
Yeah, Colin Farrell is
Brendan
Park
Gleeson.
Suliban.
Yes, Padraig Suliban.
I don't think she ever really pronounced the D. Wasn't it just Padraig?
Probably. Okay, you're right. Padraig or Padraig, what I call him.
Padraig. I know people on like the YouTube videos kept saying Padraig, but I was right. I like made notes because I'm like, I want to try to pronounce it.
It's Padraig because I'm not gonna lie, Irish names are really weird. Like, look at that actress that no one can pronounce her name.
If you look up the last name, you would be like, this is unpronounceable. But like, you look at it and it's like, oh, I see how that could sound like that, but it looks like super complicated.
Yeah, like Siobhan. Like if you look at Siobhan, you would, or who's that Irish actress that no one could pronounce her name. She's
Oh, I know who you're talking about because I can't.
Saoirse Ronan.
Yeah, Saoirse.
But
okay.
If you see how her name is spelled, you would not get Saoirse the sound at all.
I would say Soiris or something.
Yeah, everyone calls her something else, but it's Saoirse Ronan because she's got like a real Irish, name from their language before it got like muddled with English. So
yeah, but
anyway, Brendan Gleeson, who is also Irish,
who is
I thought
Colm
was
Doherty. But his name is spelled Colm, so I would have thought Comb, but it's Colm.
It's Colm.
But yeah, it was really interesting just seeing how these names.
Call him Sonny Larry.
Colm Sonny. Yeah, I'm like, what is this? His name?
I thought that was his last name, but it wasn't. Irish names are weird. I'm not joking.
I'm like, does this mean that he's the son of someone named Larry? Is that like okay?
But it said Sonny Larry because I had the subtitles on because
I did too. I always watch everything with subtitles.
One thing I like about their accent is very whimsical. With the tones and stuff, it goes like,
and I love how like so the so like the so was at the end where you would usually have the so at the beginning.
I know, and then I like how they used like. Their like was so different from us, and I was like, oh, they used like differently. It was so cool to see that. I just thought it was interesting.
It was.
I don't know if that's modern speak or how they used to talk back, but then. Anyway, it's very interesting. There's a lot of awesome actors and actresses in this.
Yeah, I love this sister.
And then this film also has a lot of animals. Sheep, goats, ponies, dogs, rabbit. Was there a rabbit in this one? No.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
I also came to a realization of what pub stands for. I never knew.
What do you mean? It's a bar.
Public house.
Oh, is that what it means?
And the reason I know that is because the... John Joe's place, it was like on the side of the building it said public house, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is where they go to drink. And I'm like,
is that what it comes from?
That's what it comes from, because then I looked it up because it said public house, and I'm like, is this what pub stands for? And then I looked it up on Google and I was like, yeah.
So that's why they call bars pubs, because it's the public gathering place. That makes so much sense. Very cool with me.
It was like, it was just really interesting because I'm like, it was just like is that what pub stands for?
Yeah. And it's so, to go back to the summation, the friends, Colm's character, not Colm, Perrick's character, Perrick is the character. Colin Farrell's character is the one that is being like dumped as a friend, and he can't really get over it. And they're all like middle-aged men, in the small town where there's no gadgets and stuff, so there's not a lot to entertain them. So they're all like, it's like little town farm life, little island life. You think about those like really small rural towns of America where everybody knows each other.
It's pretty isolated.
And they're on an island, so it's like not a lot going on, not a lot of riches, not a lot to do. So a lot of things can happen. But Colm, which is Brendan Gleeson's character, who's a bit older, they were friends and talking, but then he just decides one day that he is not going to be Perrick's friend anymore. And he's like, leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you. That's it. And it's so stark and sudden. And I just love the idea of a film that is just dealing with these very real things. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I had a friend who had this issue where this person, she had a great friend that was almost like another best friend for her. And she just was like, I don't want to be your friend anymore. And it was an issue. I even tried to intervene. I could not. And I was like, I'm out of it. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know what the issue is. And it was just, she had a reason. She wasn't trying to tell me. And the friendship dissolved. And it was sad to see. But I wanted to see, I liked looking at this information that these two men especially, what were they doing about this friendship that was just dissolving? How it was, the mental toll it takes, or the emotional toll, like how you were feeling. Like you could see all of these. And that's why I think I really like that Colin got the award for it, because he did such a great job conveying this hurt man and all of his emotions that he was feeling about surrounding the situation. Because this situation goes awry a little bit with this whole thing.
Oh my God.
He keeps trying to come back and get his friend back, and his friend's like, leave me alone.
He's like,
I don't want to
seriously,
talk to you.
leave me alone.
Yeah,
I need space. I need you to let me have this.
Tell him what he does. Tell him.
Oh my, he tells him, he's like, if you talk to me again, I am going to cut my finger off, and every time you talk to me, I will cut another finger off. And he's like, dude, like, I feel like you've got some mental issues going on, because, like, the first thing that comes to mind is cutting off fingers.
And no one believed him. Everyone thought he was bluffing. And I was like, oh, he's drastic. I was like, oh, he's just doing too much.
And it was crazy. Like, partway through the movie, they're like, he
literally cut off one of his fingers.
Park and his sister Siobhan, they're sitting, because they live together in their parents' old house, and you just hear a thump on the door. And they go and open it, and they're like, and Column's walking off, just walking off down the street like nothing's happened. And he looks around. There's like a little spot on the door, and he looks down. There's a finger. He's like, he's actually. I'm like, what is going on?
It was, oh God, I'm not gonna lie. That's when the movie took a turn for me. I was just watching this drama unfold in this little small Irish island. World, and then that thing just went left. I was like, yo, he literally cut his fingers. Like, I thought he was joking.
I thought he was joking too. But the thing that got me, I'm like, why is he not dead? Because eventually he cuts off all the fingers and his thumb.
Gangrene or something should have set in.
Exactly.
All he did was patch that mess up himself. I'm like,
he
ain't
didn't
go
even
to no
patch
doctor.
it up. At no point did I see him with even a cloth wrapped around.
He did have a cloth when he went to church. He had the cloth wrapped.
Oh, okay, at church.
There were some times.
But every other time, I'm like,
when he was playing the violin.
dude, there is no, like, you have not wrapped this. I don't know if you've disinfected it. Like, what the hell?
This is what I didn't get, because Combs' character, he was a violinist. He's a fiddler. So I'm like, how are you going to cut off your fingers? He was trying to show how badly he did not want Parrot to talk to him anymore. And I'm not going to lie to you, if we can get into it now. The reasonings he gave, it was interesting, but also I was like, this is some BS. Like, what's really going on with you, you know? And I think they all were, like, repressed men. They all had issues, I think, of course. And
yeah, because when he saw his priest, the priest was like, how was the, what did he say? Not depression. He used another word.
The sadness.
How was the sadness? And, like, when he first, like, at the beginning of the movie, when he talked to the priest, when he's like, when he first decided to stop talking, he was like, it's better. But then, like, you know, when Park won't let it go, he's like, it's worse. And I'm like, maybe it was help. Maybe he did actually need to have that break, and Park wouldn't let him have it. So it's like, I thought it was awful and mean,
sucks,
but at the same time, I'm like, this is something that he seemed to have needed, and you refused to give it to him.
Yeah.
And like, if this was a relation, like a romantic relationship, well, I mean, everybody kept telling him, like, stop, just stop, and he didn't listen.
Stop going over
like,
there. Stop going to
if this was like a boyfriend and girlfriend, and the girl was like, I can't let him go, it's like, dude, let him go.
Yeah.
And it's like the same here. It's like, you got to give them the space. If they say, like, I'm done, you gotta give it to them.
Yeah.
Like,
Because
maybe in a couple months you follow up, but like, if they say they need space.
Yeah. And the weird thing was, it was like watching Parrot deal with this. It was so sad, because he's just like, he was like, what is it about me? I'm a nice guy. I'm a cool guy. And then you could see he was like jealous. And I'm like, well, why can't he just talk to these other people over here? But no, he talks to Combs. And then he was like, everyone was saying that Parrot is kind of dull. And that was one of the reasonings that Combs gave for why he didn't want to be his friend anymore. He was like, he's dull. Even his sister behind his back, as much as she loved him, his sister was like, she knows he's kind of dull.
She was so taken aback because she went to confront him. She was like, angry. She was like, why aren't you talking to my brother? He was like, why don't you want to be friends with me? He was like, he's dull. And she was like, just taken aback. She couldn't say anything for a second. She was like, well, he's always been dull. So like, what's changed?
What's the change? Girl, when your sister be like, yeah, he don't, and can we move on from this? Like,
he's always been this way. You knew he was dull.
Like, I'm tired. I love this part where he's like, he's like, yesterday, this is like the day before, where they were still friends, and then the second day, he's like, you know what you did yesterday? Colm was like, you talked to me for like 2 hours. I timed it about all the different things that were in your donkey shite, which is actually the donkey's shit. Shite is their word for shit. And I just was like, yo,
but it
really talk about donkey poop for 2 hours?
Many comedic things in this kind of
hilarious,
like dark comedy. He's like, well, that shows how much you were listening because it was my horse's shite.
I was like, dude.
And then when they were talking about well, I want to have like a nice, normal conversation. He's like, you want to have like a dull conversation? He's like, I said nice, normal conversation.
Yes. I love the writing in this because there was like, sometimes they were just being so petty. They were like children, honestly, talking about like, you know how you're in the grade school. I don't want to be your friend anymore. This is where this stuff usually happens.
Yeah.
In grade school. And then it's like, and funny enough, I think Dominic said that. There was a character on there, y'all, called Dominic, who he's actually my favorite characters on there.
He was a great character.
He was tragic because he ended up losing his life. But again, the Banshees of Inisherin comes from the whole folklore of Banshees. And there was this one old croon kind of woman,
Mrs. McCormick.
Miss McCormick, who like
predicted there would be
she was
2
just
deaths.
Like a regular chick, but then she became kind of foreboding later on. And she was like a ghoul. They called her a ghoul.
They did call her a ghoul
and then people didn't want it because she was like a harbinger of death almost. And she first said it.
Well, that's what a banshee is. They pretend a death that's about to occur, and she did.
I thought banshees were like the sirens.
No,
I don't know why. That's what I was thinking.
The reason I know this is because that show you refused to watch that was really good, Teen Wolf.
Oh, okay.
Because one of the characters is a banshee,
and she just screams, right?
Well, her power was, there's usually like a scream associated with it. She could use hers as like almost a power, like a fighting power. But yeah, their powers to predict death.
You know where else I learned about banshees?
Where?
Scooby-Doo. You know how they have all this crazy thing? One of them was a banshee. I remember one time. So I always thought that was a banshee because it was like some ghost-like thing. I'm just laughing because it makes me like think of my old days watching. I'm like, oh, this is a banshee. I know what a banshee is. Anyway, but Dominic was like basically his character. It was played by Barry Cohen. Barry Cohen. Cogen. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
he's also Irish.
Until you can like find a clip of somebody pronouncing it is so hard to look at the spelling and be like, oh, this is how it's pronounced. Right? Yeah.
Please don't be insulting anyone Irish listening.
We're trying hard to get these right.
I'm not aware of the vernacular. Okay. All right. But Barry plays Dominic, a really lovely character. And if you guys want to like, who's Barry? Barry was on the Eternals. He played Druid on the Eternals. And, actually, I really love his character there, too. I just thought he was so cute from then. Anyway, but Dominic plays, like, what they would call the village idiot. But I don't believe he was the idiot.
He was actually pretty intelligent, especially emotionally so.
Because that's what he was saying. That's the thing. If I wanted to go back and watch it and then see. Because I was like, Dominic actually said some very insightful things. People just thought he was an idiot, but he really wasn't.
He was probably on the spectrum.
He was probably on the spectrum.
But he was
abused.
Intelligent.
And I really like, and this was what made me sad, was he actually went for, it was funny enough that Parek's sister is Siobhan. She's very smart. She reads books, and she's very different, and like she's a no-nonsense kind of chick, right? And so they all thought she was unmarried and everything, but she was also very lonely, tired of this life. She wanted more out of life. She really did. But she didn't know that anyone saw her, I think. And I think Dominic's father told her in the movie later on that nobody likes you, but actually Dominic liked her the whole time. This
provincial life.
Oh my God! You just stop. I was like, where are you going? I wish you guys could see her face because I was just like, where is she going?
I was trying to think of what the lyric was.
No. Anyway, but I thought it was so interesting that Dominic's father was like, "Oh, you're a weird lass, and that's why nobody likes you," and that made her cry.
You could see, that hit her.
But Dominic liked her the whole time. He liked her the whole time, and he could see because she was different. He could see she was different,
and she wasn't unliked. She didn't have like a romantic prospects. It didn't look like, and she was very intelligent, and I guess she was probably higher than what most people. Yeah. So that would make it pretty isolating for her. But she did something about it, and I think that was a problem. When I watched some videos on this, they were like, "Oh, all these people are miserable." I'm like, I don't think they're all miserable. Some of them seem pretty content. Now, Colum was miserable.
Yeah, he was.
I think that Park was fine until his friend stopped talking to him, and then he became miserable. It's like, but you could do something about this. You could get
another friend.
Yeah, you could do something. But I don't believe that everyone on the island was miserable. Yeah. I mean, the cop, Dominic's father, whatever.
He was miserable.
He was just he was probably miserable because he was abusive.
He also had a small willy, if you saw it.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Sorry,
I was squinting. I was like,
I was just like, this dude was brave to put himself out there.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Padar or something. I couldn't really hear them when they pronounced his name.
So Dominic's father was the policeman on for the whole island, I guess. And he was abusive, drunkard. He would beat Dominic. He would even molest him apparently as well. And oh man, it was messed up. And I was like, for him to come out as he did, Dominic was. I just feel like he just needed some love. He wanted somebody to love him. He had a dream of marrying someone, being like a person of substance.
I dream to dream.
I felt so bad for him because he was the bravest one, and he went on there. He went up to Siobhan and asked her, he's like, hey, do you think you could ever... He shot a shot, He
did.
And I mean, as much as...
And when she very, very kindly, very respectfully rejected him... Yeah. I don't think it could have been a nicer rejection.
I know she was. I kind of wanted her to get with him anyway, but then I wanted her more for her too.
Yeah,
because there's some things about him that you need to work on, but I felt like she could help him work on it.
But that's not.
But he
somebody's job though, as a partner. Right.
I just felt for him so bad.
I did feel for him because he was like when she rejected him, he was like, well, there goes that dream. And when he said that, I felt that. I was like, damn, to say there goes that dream.
That was foreboding too, because this is another thing that I realized. Because Park, in his going through his emotions, he literally went through all the stages of grief. He was sad about this, and then he was in denial, and then he was bargaining, and then he was angry. I think the bargaining is last. I'm not sure. And then he just reached a contentment, but after a lot of crap happened. You know what I mean? So in his angry phase, and he actually did something back because Colm had this fiddle group that he was with, and he was talking to them, and he would be jealous because they just be up in the pub, be having a good time, and literally there in his face, he's like, yo, so you're just flaunting, you're having fun and not talking to me. And it got to him. I don't blame him. He's not going to be a human being.
I don't feel like he was flaunting it, though. I think he was just...
It just seemed like it to him.
I think it seemed like it because it's such a small town that,
It just seemed like it. But he was literally I'm just living my life.
Yeah, exactly. He was living his life, but because it's such a small town, it's like the one pub.
This is what I imagine Colm was saying. Park was saying, you're just going to be flaunting your other friends in my face. I don't got no other friends. And
it's like, but you do. Dominic was your friend. The JoJo, the barkeep.
The barkeep was all of them were trying to make peace. They really weren't taking anybody's side. It was crazy. Anyway, to get back to my point, was Park had done something really bad. He had told a lie and made one of Colm's fiddler partners or fiddler students believe that his father had been hit by a bread truck, which his mother had already died from that.
He was like, "You're something happened to your mother." He was like, "But my mother's dead." He was like, "Oh, did I say your mother? I bet your father."
It was such trash.
Your bread truck hit him. He was like, "A bread truck? But that's impossible." He was like, "No, people get hit by bread trucks all the time." He's like, "No, but my mother was killed by a bread truck." I'm like, "What?"
it was such crap. It was the funniest.
There were so many like these things that are like
hilarious.
It's
just like it's so ridiculous. But it was
like if it's the same bread truck, I'm gonna kill them.
I know, and I'm like, what? And then and it was really bad. And the funny thing is, Dominic kept trying to be like, get out of your space. So he's like, just leave that guy alone. He was seeing comfort. He's like, you don't need him. You can be friends. We can be doing things. He's like, you guys are acting like 12-year-old. I love the insight Dominic had, even though everyone like thought nothing of him. And they were like, get away. And,
he was very emotionally intelligent.
He knew stuff. That's what I'm saying. He knew some things. But this is the part where I know that he lost, he thought Perrick was one of the nice ones.
Mm-hmm.
He thought out of everybody on the island, because Perrick and his sister, Siobhan, actually treated him with respect and care. It was like the only one. So Dominic held on to that. But then he heard the story of what he did to one of the fiddlers, his fiddler student, what he said. Mm-hmm. And Dominic was like, oh my God, that was really mean. Like, you made him believe his father got killed. That's terrible to do to somebody. Especially for that time where it's like...
Well, not killed, but that was like in danger of dying.
That's what I'm saying. It's like he could have been... The way he was saying it made it sound like he did. So it's just like making someone feel that kind of emotion.
Yeah.
Scaring us off of
that
a
was
lie.
like so...
It was not a good look on Perrick.
It wasn't. It was
and
like
Dominic
awful.
called him out on it. Dominic was like, wow, I thought
like,
you were really one of the good ones.
Okay, you know what? I don't want to hang with you anymore.
And if you notice, that was the last time you saw Dominic and him in a scene together, really.
Yeah.
Because he was like, no. And then Dominic tried for the other person who
he had a connection with.
He Siobhan, because he's like, Siobhan is nice. I like her. She's a woman. I want, And then she rejected him, and it was like, it felt like
he had no more tethers. To this world.
So it was like there was no point anymore. And then he ended up being one of the people that died, which was really sad.
It was so sad.
And then the other, she said 2 deaths. The Banshee said 2 deaths, but it wasn't a person. And the second person wasn't a person.
The second death.
Yeah, thank you. The second death wasn't of a person. It was a donkey.
Donkey Jenny.
Jenny was Perrick's donkey that he loved like crazy. He loved it.
It was like she was a pet dog, like a pet donkey.
Yeah, he was like a pet, and he had him in the house, and even Siobhan hated that. She's like, no,
animals are outside.
Especially the ones like those, they just kind of poop everywhere. Barn animals, I'm like, oh hell no, they're not staying in my house. But he had his ponies. Everybody up in there, like he was just like the animal wrangler. I actually saw an interview that Colin Farrell said that the animals like really, even though he had to spend the most time with them, like they really didn't like him as much because like Jenny like kneed him in the ankle, like kicked him in the knee really bad. God. That was really painful. And then the dog that was on there, the dog bit him once or so. Oh. And I would be like, oh, hell no, I'm not doing this. I ain't working with no animals. Anyway, but I just felt sad about that. But it was the donkey got into the crosshairs. So the donkey's death was accidental.
Yeah, choked on one of Colum's fingers that he threw.
Colm did one finger, and then he,
came back
at him
threw
again.
All the rest of them.
He cut all the other 4 off. And threw them at his house and just threw them everywhere. And I just thought, this is some crazy ass shit. How you gonna sever your own hand to prove a point to somebody? Like, it made no sense to me. Like,
it was one of those cutting off your nose to spite your face type
thing. And I'm like, I just didn't understand that.
I was like, you have a problem, dude. Like, you've got a mental issue. I agree with Park on this. Like, I can understand if you wanted some space, but to actually do this,
and inflict self-harm,
you maybe got some, like, depression or something, because this is not a reasonable reaction.
Well, you're a fiddler. You love, and then one of the reasons he said he didn't want to be with Park anymore as a friend was that he wanted to make this great musical or this great piece of music. And he was like, talking to you about nothing is not going to help that. And I was like, okay, that's a reason at least. But how you going to cut off your fingers and then how you going to make it then? Like, how are you going to write the piece when you can't?
He was like, I'm a
it?
nice guy. When he was like arguing with him, and he was like, what does anybody ever remember about a nice guy? Like, the 17th century Mozart, people remember him. Nobody remembers anybody who was nice. And I love how the sister is just so much. She's like, he was actually from the 18th century.
It was like, she had to get on him about that because it was like a really good speech about how he was like, I'm nice. He's like, he was actually making a case for himself. Mm-hmm. And I felt for him so bad because I'm not going to lie, throughout the movie, I was really pulling for Park because I was like, come on, dude, be his friend again.
Yeah, it's like, you can be his friend and just not hang out. Well, maybe it would have been hard to be his friend and not hang out with him. I mean, maybe that was the problem, that it was such a small island that he's not going to get the space he needs. And maybe that's what it is. It's like, I can be your friend if you give me space, but he would not give him space, which is why I guess he decided, like, okay.
Some friends are seasonal friends where they're in their life for a season and then they're out, you know, and that's the case. And I just love the dilemma of that. Like, people really, like, we have a problem with letting go as a people. And sometimes it's necessary, and then sometimes it's sad, but it's just like, these things can happen. Somebody makes their choice, they do something, you lose touch, or they break something off, a friendship, a relationship. That happens, and it's going to cause a lot of issues and stuff, but you ultimately have to move on. But the problem with these two is that it kind of divulged into this weird macabre thing where you have Colm cutting off his fingers, despite the fact that he's a fiddler and he needed them. And I was like, why didn't you cut off the hand that you don't use to actually, because I played the cello, he cut off his dominant fingers, so he couldn't play anymore. I was like, you could actually move the bow with just the groove between your thumb and your pointer finger. You could move the bow and just be like, but you can't do nothing with nubs. You can't play a violin with nubs. So I was like, why did he cut off his dominant finger hand? I didn't get that, but he was trying to make a point. But my other thing I was trying to say is that for Perrick, he just kind of divulged into this violence. Like, once the pony Jenny ate one of the fingers and choked on it, I guess, and died. He was just like, that was real, like a personal attack to him.
And I feel like, you know what? I just realized, I feel like it was almost a kind of a parallel to Dominic. Because Dominic lost his anchors, and Siobhan had left. His sister, pirate sister, left because she was like, I want much more than this provincial life.
Yes.
And she left.
And I ain't blame her.
Exactly. She needed to. She was like, this is toxic now. She was like, it was kind of okay before. It wasn't great, but it wasn't awful. But it was like, y'all have just made it unbearable. She was like, all of y'all are adults. So you know what? If y'all gonna be crazy, I'm gonna get out of this. Because if I can't help it, I'm not, like, I can't be part of this. It was a hot mess. And she left, and that's what some people need to do that.
Fell further down because he lost her too. And then he decides to burn down Colm's house with Colm in it. I thought Colm was gonna stay.
I thought so too at first. Because he was just sitting there as he like put the branches on the windows and at the door and lit it up and everything. He was just sitting there smoking.
I was like, Colm looked like he was gonna be a G based off what he was doing with his fingers, right? Colm was like, I'm gonna be a G, and then he was like, oh, I might even like you more because he was having some conviction, right? And I felt like I can understand that he just wanted more out of his friendship, and he was like, maybe Perrick didn't have the capacity. I'm not saying he wasn't a nice lad, a nice guy, but maybe Perrick didn't have the capacity to keep up with him anymore, or something. He felt like he needed more elevated friends or something more deeper. That's understandable. But
he wanted more sophisticated conversation.
I guess so. None about shite from your ponies, you know? But I thought he was going to be a G and stay in that house and let it burn with himself. That dude was like, I don't even know how he got out. Perrick saved the guy's dog. Took the dog with him.
I mean, it wasn't like a fast burning fire or anything. It wasn't like super quick. He probably had plenty of time.
I know, but I just thought, like, I really thought he was just gonna be in there and burn.
I thought so too. I thought so too. So when they were on the beach, I was like, "Oh snap, you're alive." He was like, "So I guess this is it." And he was like, "No, it's over when one of us dies." I'm like, "Dude, you really?"
Is a lot. It went there, y'all. It went there. And then you see him on the beach later. He comes to inspect a rebel. And you just see Colm on the beach, just chilling. He don't got no house,
right?
I just looked at it. I was like, I can't believe this. And then the Banshee. I call her the Banshee, but she's really the old crone of the island. Mrs. McCormick just took one of his chairs.
It was just
sat between them, and just see these two guys on the beach. And then, I don't know, they tried to do some kind of reconciliation, but it really wasn't. They resolved to be like, you know what, I'm still...
This is it. We're done now.
Yeah. Okay.
He's accepted that, like, this is
Me
over.
And you are over. Yeah. It was kind of sad, you know?
It was sad. It was bittersweet. It was a good ending.
It was.
But it was sad. Yeah. It was very much so, like, when I watched one of the YouTube videos and they described it as a tragedy and they were saying how, like, this writer-director has done, like, stage work and movies, I was like, I can see it. This feels very like a theatrical type of tragedy, like Shakespearean almost. And I'm like, I liked that about
and
it.
They said it was like a metaphor or allegory, if you will. No, more metaphor is the right word. For what happened during the Irish Civil War. About, you have these two factions fighting each other, and for what? There was a lot of unnecessary death for no reason. There was 2 innocent people that died because of all this, and so I really felt bad. With Dominic, we're not sure, and no one knows whether Dominic died or he fell in the water.
Yeah, you don't know if he was a suicide or if it was he died by accident.
Most likely it was a suicide, but you never know.
Never know.
There's a lot of cliffs over there. There's a lot of beautiful greenery, and they were really close to the water. He could have fell in,
I also thought it was just funny throughout the movie, people's reactions to Mrs. McCormick. Yeah. Like, when he saw her coming down the road and he hid behind the stones. And she was just right there, and he was like, oh.
All in all, the film, made you really think about these, interesting relationship things that you have with people. Friendship. It really made me think about friendships. Mm-hmm. It really made me think about the human condition. Mm-hmm. How funny... if you can find humor even in tragic things.
It is. And I felt like there are some people here that needed to leave, and the only one who needed to find a better response to what they were feeling. Because you remember how Colin was like, did you ever feel like, I forgot what he said to her, to Siobhan, and she was like, no, I don't feel that way. And he was like, yeah, you do. And you saw this look on her face like, yeah, he's right. And she did something about it. Yeah. And technically, Colin did something about it. Yeah, it wasn't the kind thing, but he did something about it. But his friend wouldn't accept it. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I don't think this was the answer, Colin. Yeah, I think the answer would have been space, less hanging out. We can still be friends, but I need some space. But I feel like they might have still ended up in the same place. Yeah, because it's I don't feel like Park would have given him. What do you think?
I don't think Park would have given him the space because the way Park's nature, and it's it was he couldn't understand it. Mm-hmm. And I felt as I was talking about the 3 stages of grief that I witnessed, really, it kind of came to that, bargaining part where, acceptance is the final straw, and but it took that real good severing that needed to happen because it was yeah, he was trying to cut it off, but it was he was still trying to attach himself. And I felt with they both had losses. He cut off his fingers. He lost his pony. His sister moved away. He burned down that one's house. They have extreme, those losses kind of severed everything. Where I feel Park had to be had to go through these things to be okay, I'm done with you now. I'm not going to bother you. I'm not going to be your friend. He had to get over it. And some people, it's that. Because I have to give it to Colm. He was honest from the beginning. Mm-hmm. He's I don't want to be your friend anymore, and I don't like you anymore. I'm just telling you.
And I thought it was, at first I was dude, you're a jerk. But then as the movie went on and you see him, because he apologized later. The next day he was I'm sorry for the way I said it, but dude, I need you, I need to not have to hang out anymore.
And even though Colm was nice to him at one point when Dominic's father punched him for telling the secrets about what he does to his son out in front of the pub, in front of everybody, even though everybody knew about it. At least he said it out. I don't think they knew about the fondling him and stuff, the molestation. They didn't know about that. So he kind of said it out there, and they didn't really like it. So he punched him in the face, and he felt bad, and I felt he was crying and everything. And Colm picked him up, rode with him, and then got off, and didn't say nothing to him the whole time. Because he's I'm still a good human being. I'm gonna help y'all, but I'm just
he needed to set boundaries. He was I'm like you said, he was still a good human being, so I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna say anything because I need you to not have the hope that this is just gonna be us getting back to it, which was what I think what would have happened.
He was hoping after that. He's well, you just helped me out. Why can't we? And he's no, we're still not friends. I just wanted to help you out because I don't think you're a bad person. This is what I would do
for any human being, as a decent person.
Exactly. And so I was upset with how Park let himself divulge into his anger a bit and do some bad things. Yeah. Such as burning the guy's house down.
And then when you went and said all that stuff to him right before he cut off the rest of his fingers, he was oh, he said he might like me again if I'm mean. Let me just turn into this mean person.
And it's don't change yourself.
It makes you think about this was a friendship, but I think it's applicable to any relationship. He tried to change himself in order to try to keep this friend, and that's not would you like if this was a romantic relationship? Anybody would say you should not do this. Yeah. But these are things he did. He tried to change himself
to fit that person.
He tried to hold on to something that everyone's telling him to let go of. Like this friendship is not. He's telling you let go of it, and he wasn't. And it's just like.
I felt bad for him. I
felt bad for him.
I felt bad because I honestly wondered at the end of the film, like, what would he have now? Because he's not married. His sister left. His pony died. His friend, only friend, and then the other potential friend died. Mm-hmm. Tragically, and I also didn't like because it seemed like he didn't care about Dominic. The way he wrote about him in the letter to Shaban, it was like, oh yeah,
he did care, but I think it was almost like a shock.
It didn't seem like a shock either. He was just like, oh, he got pulled out of the room. It was just like, oh, this happened. I don't care about this person.
That's not how I interpret
it to me.
That's not how I interpret it. Because he's like, it was like in other news. Because like I feel like he was like, because this was his writing voice. He was telling his sister stuff, but also not telling her things that probably would have had her come back to check on him. Because, like, oh, by the way, I also burned down Column's house.
Yeah, he didn't tell her that.
Yeah.
And I like that the sister tried to, like, Shaban, once she left and she was like, oh, this is much better. Mm-hmm. She's like, hey, I have a space for you.
Yeah.
Well, she did say leave the animals to Dominic, but then the animals Dominic died, so he couldn't do that. But,
that would have been probably a good solution, though.
It was. It would have been better for him to just leave that island.
Yeah, and it would have been better for Dominic to not be living with his freaking father anymore, because he would have been, he probably would have done very well with the animals, like to be away from his father. Yeah, probably would have taken very good care of him, have some, this kind of connection with another being that, like, he would have probably flourished.
I think so. I think he needed to be out of his father's house. Mm-hmm. But again, it was just once too late. But I like that the sister was like, recognizing that he needed a new environment too. Mm-hmm. Maybe he would improve better as well. Because he wasn't a bad man. He was just very simple. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he was content with the simple life, and Colin wasn't anymore, and he didn't understand that.
He didn't understand that.
Yeah.
They were on different wavelengths after.
Yeah.
After that.
Divulging past. Yeah. Like, one was... Because like I said, like, the YouTube video I viewed, they were like, everybody on this island's miserable. I'm like, I don't think so. Not everybody is miserable. There are a number of miserable people. And once Shaban started...
shopkeeper lady? The one that kept, like, demanding that everyone
Oh, my God. I think she was miserable. Like, lady, come on.
I'm like, how do you go through my mail?
Yeah.
You never tell me something. Am I required to tell you my business? I was looking at her like, you better step back. And she was so forthright and loud about it. I was like, this chick need to check herself. But she's the village gossip. I was just mad. I was like, you're just demanding people tell you like gossip. I didn't like that. And I felt like Park felt like he had to tell stuff too. Which is why he got punched in the face. He did. He told some stuff and the guy was like, why are you talking about this? I'm going to punch you in the face, But that was one random thing that I was just like, man, these villagers, I don't know about this. Yeah. I love the priest, too. The priest, I love when the priest got belligerent with Colin.
That was like, dude.
He was like, F you, too. I like the curse words. Feckin', shite, twat, and all this kind of stuff. I love the British, the Irish words. I don't know if they said twat, actually. I don't think so. That could be a British thing, another thing. But I love feckin' and shite. It was just funny. I just was like, it was very interesting. Anyway, but let's get into the review. Let's give our rating, excuse me, because we've reviewed it enough. For me, I give this movie 7 glasses.
Okay.
7 is a solid, good movie to me. One, this is a very enjoyable watch. I actually would watch this film again. Is it like wow factor? No. Is it like a 10? No. But for what it was doing, I really appreciated it, and so I just give it a 7. I think it's like a nice, solid film. Yeah. What do you think? 7 glasses from me.
I think I'm going to give it 10.
Okay.
Because, like, you said for what it was, but I feel like since this is a different genre, like, what it was, I thought it was very, very good. Like, this, like, as a drama, this was excellent.
It was very good.
And I thought, like, that being this, and especially since, I mean, I like all the genres, but, like, pure drama is not usually, like, my go-to. And I'm like, this was just excellent. It was so well written and acted, and it's got such great
performances were amazing.
Themes and things like, it just makes you think like, because it makes you like.
I think I'm bump mine up to 8. I'm gonna bump it up to 8. I'm still not giving it a 9 or 10, but I'm gonna bump it up to 8 because I really enjoyed the film. I mean, it's a good talking point. It's a good thing to see.
It is.
I just think it's a solid film. So yeah, you know what? I'm gonna give it 8 glasses. I'm gonna change it 8.
So that'll be an average of 9 glasses, you guys.
Is that really right?
8 and 10. 8 plus 10.
How are we averaging? By
8
lens?
plus 10 is 18 divided by 2 reviews, so that's 9.
Yeah. Y'all, math wasn't my strong point. Maths.
But it's awesome because it makes you kind of have to put yourself in each character's shoes, because you're like, Park, you understand what Park's feeling, but at the same time you're like, Column's like, I need space, I need you to like let me have this, and you wouldn't, and you're like, when they won't respect your boundaries, like,
and that's the thing with small towns too. Small areas, it's like the boundaries get
ignored
because
disregarded,
of the familiarity, you know, and the familiarity can be suffocating as well. And somebody that I can understand where Siobhan was going. I really resonate with Siobhan.
She's the only one who did anything healthy about it. Like, Colum did something I feel like he probably did have depression or something. I agree with Park on that. Like, dude, something's
not right with him.
Not right.
Yeah. And he was lonely. And I was like, I didn't see no kids. No. And I'm like, probably not a lot of women on their island, it looks like.
Yeah, because like Dominic was like, there's women here and good ones.
So it's a good watch, guys. Like, it's really it's like one that would be surprising.
Yeah,
but I think it's a really good watch. So I recommend y'all go check it out.
Yeah, definitely recommend it.
Talk about it amongst your friends. You know, if you want to say something to somebody you don't know how, maybe show this movie to them.
Oh wow!
I'm just saying. Sometimes the medium can talk for you. All right, guys. So that is our review of the Banshees of Inisherin. Right. I still didn't say that right.
No, I think you did.
I tried.
I think it was right. I mean, I've heard it said Inisherin and Inisherin, Sharon or Sheer, but
Inisherin.
I most often, I think they only said it twice in the movie, but I think I heard them say Inisherin.
Yeah, and it's not even a real place anyway. It's like a made up name.
It's not. But like when I watched the HBO extras thing,
there was an extras thing.
Yeah,
we're gonna watch that now, y'all. All right, we're gonna go though. Bye, everybody. Blerd out. Enjoy your weekends. Thanks for listening to our podcast. Please subscribe to our show on whatever podcast listening app you use, and share the show with other Blerds and non-Blerds, family and friends. And if you like this episode, please subscribe to our email newsletter at blerdtalkbw.ck.page, and also rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts.
Intro and outro music is Twilight by Caption. You can find them on SoundCloud, username Caption spelled CAPSHUN. Show notes by Bola, Hanson, audio engineering by Whitney Booker.
And don't forget to get social, you guys. You can email us at blerdtalkbw@gmail.com. And our social media handles on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok is at BlerdTalkBW. And our YouTube channel is youtube.com/@BlerdTalkBW. And we've got our individual things going on too. You can find the Triple F Queen on Instagram at Triple F Queen B as in boy. And my YouTube channel is youtube.com/@Triple F Queen B.
And you can find me, Whitney, at Luminabi Studios, my company. And the email address is wit@luminabi.com, spelled WHIT @LUMENABI.com. And you can also find me on Twitter at Luminabi Studios.